Welcome back to another episode of North of the Lake Sports Talk Live. This is season 2, episode 15. Welcome back, y'all, for another episode with your boy, Rashawn. We got the show on the road this week. I'm going live from the great state of Missouri, the Show Me State. We got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about Louisiana high school football, round 4 of the playoffs, the game that determined who goes to the Dome. We're gonna get into that here in a little bit. But first, let me try to get my people in on Instagram right now. Shout out to everybody that is watching on Instagram right now. Let me try to welcome them into the room. Y'all, please bear with me as we take the show on the road this week. Shout out to everybody that is watching it on Facebook, on YouTube, and I'm trying to get my people in on Instagram as well. Give me some time to work things out as I get my people in on Instagram. Shout out to everybody that is on Instagram. If you are on Instagram right now, please let me know if you can hear me well. Everybody that's on right now, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. We got to talk about a lot. Like I said, Louisiana high school football. We got the game that leads to the Dome. We're going to get into that in a minute. We got to talk about those LSU Tigers and what they did on the recruiting trail. And we got to get into the Saints as they had a thumping win today. I almost gave you a heart attack if you was watching that game. Late second missed field goal by the New York Giants gets the Saints the win on the road in the Meadowlands. But let's try to get into things first. You already know this is North of the Lake Sports Talk Live. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's at NOTL Mon, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and now Instagram at NOTL Podcast on Instagram. Shout out to everybody that is watching on Instagram. Share and repost the live. If you love the content, please share and repost the live. If you would like to support the platform, our Cash App is at the bottom of the screen. But we got to get into Louisiana high school football playoffs round 4. Vermilion Catholic over Kentwood 33-0. Shout out to the Kentwood Kangaroos on their season. Haynesville over General Trice for 55-20. Cecilia gets the win 55-35 over Plaquemine. St. James over Union Parish 43-36. Franklinton 35-29 over Iowa. Catholic gets the win over Calvary Baptist. Alexandria over Curtis 24-13. Archbishop Shaw is back 35-28 over Madison Prep. Edna Carr gets the win over Catholic Baton Rouge 21-19. Dunham gets the win 46-22 over Bunkie. South Plaquemine over Logansport 20-14. Coachella Prairie Christian 24-22 over Ascension Catholic. Sterling over Gina 48-14. ED White over Leesville 41-13. Central of Baton Rouge 31-13 over Neville. Ruston gets the win over Destrehan 44-7. Southern goes down to Jackson State. Arizona over Iowa. Georgia over Texas 22-19. Oregon over Penn State 45-37. Clemson over SMU 34-31. These are the conference championship games. Boise State takes down UNLV, and our Tulane Greenways goes down to Army. Tulane kind of spiraled at the end of the season, but shout out to them as well. But Louisiana high school football, shout out to all the schools that did advance to the Dome. This was the game before the Dome for a lot of Louisiana guys that was left in the playoffs. You see the scores at the bottom of the screen. We want to shout the Kentwood Kangaroos out for their season they had this year. Shout out to the Kentwood Kangaroos, but they was the lone standing team in Tangipahoa Parish, but they did go down to Vermilion Catholic, as you see at the bottom of the screen. And we get ready to talk some Louisiana high school playoff football. Like I said, Kentwood did go down. Some of the notable games are at the bottom. Haynes gets the win over General Trice. Cecilia over Plaquemine. St. James continues to impress each and every year. They are going to the Dome. Shout out to the Franklin Demons. They are advancing to the Dome as well. Shout out to everybody that is taking that trip to the Superdome to represent their school, their city in the championship. I cannot wait to see these games. It has some impressive games this week, but we did have some technical difficulties. We were going to get Coach Fleet in here on the action, so we're going to be pretty quick tonight, get you out the way. let you know what you need to know, and make sure y'all go support these guys in the dome. I'm going to try to at least make one of these games. I'm gonna try to at least go see Franklinton. That's a game that you gotta watch. I definitely want to see what Card does. I haven't seen the bracket, but I do look forward to getting more into that as well. But you know, got to shout out to Kentwood Kangaroos on their season. Like I said, they did go down to Vermilion Catholic. Shout out to Tangi athletes. Shout out to football on the North Shore. If you guys are watching this live right now here on the North Shore or in Louisiana, make sure y'all hit my DMs on Instagram. That's at NOTL Podcast. Send me your highlight tapes, whatever it is that I could do to help. Y'all make sure y'all get in my DMs and let me know what I could do as far as posting your highlights on the at NOTL podcast page. Let me know. Y'all send me a DM and I will get that done for you. Um, as you go into the off season, make sure y'all holler at Coach Fleet at Nyame Fitness. Go ahead and start getting that work in early. If your team is no longer eligible or no longer in the playoffs, make sure y'all get with Coach Fleet and get putting that work in right now before the next and upcoming season, so you can already be ahead of the curve. But shout out to all our schools that is advancing to the championship to play in the Superdome. As you see, St. James is back to the dome, 43-36 over Union Parish. Franklinton over Iowa, 35-29. We got to look out for those guys. And Archbishop Shaw, that's a name that we haven't seen in a while. They gets the win over Madison Prep, 35-28. Edna Carr took down Catholic of Baton Rouge. Dunham is another good team out there to watch out for, 46-22 over Bunkie. I know a lot of our Amy and a lot of our Kentwood and Sumner people, I'm sorry, not Kentwood, a lot of our Amy and Sumner people are happy to see Bunkie go down because Bunkie took down Sumner and Amy. I know a lot of our North Tangent people is happy to see that score at the bottom of the screen. But like I said, I'm not going to hold you guys too long tonight. Like I said, the show is on the road. I'm coming live from the Show Me State of Missouri. It's kind of cold up here. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. It's cold, so I'm trying to get up out of here and get back down to the real South. They try to say Missouri is the South, but I disagree with that. Too cold, too many hills and valleys, and I would even say mountains. So, we don't consider Missouri the South in Louisiana. It's too cold out here for me, y'all. I'm just letting y'all know, but the show is on the road this week. Shout out to all my truck drivers. Shout out to all my truck drivers. A lot of y'all may not know, but I am a truck driver, and I'm always traveling. But we're going to move right along to college football, and we got to talk about those LSU Tigers. LSU finishes with top 10 recruiting class. I'm not going to lie. I'm impressed with a few guys from this LSU recruiting class. I don't think this is the best class that LSU has had at LSU, but for what it's worth, they have the number one corner in America, and DJ Pickett, the number one cornerback. I watch DJ Pickett. I like him. He's a nice, tall, athletic guy. Right now they have him on 24/7 as a cornerback. I watched a lot of his film, and I think DJ Pickett may actually transition into a safety. Just watching some of his film, a lot of his film was at the safety position. He looks kind of too tall and slender to play the cornerback position. But LSU nonetheless did get the number one cornerback in the nation in DJ Pickett. LSU finished as the number 7 team on the 24/7 Sports recruiting page of the number 17 in the country. Even after losing a guy like Bryce Underwood, LSU is still able to come in at the number 7 spot, but that was a big loss. And LSU had a couple more decommits late that kind of hurt this ranking. They could have even been fighting for the number 1 spot had they held on to Bryce Underwood. But we all know that Bryce Underwood took that bag. I don't blame him. A lot of us would have done the same thing. But I think DJ Pickett is a guy to watch out starting coming in his freshman year. We look for DJ Pickett to be a starter, but I think it's gonna come at safety because I think one of the biggest things that LSU need right now is a safety that can come up and run fits and also play the deep pass as well. I think DJ Pickett has that skill set. It'll be interesting to see what direction the LSU coaching staffs point DJ Pickett in. I think he's going to project as a safety. That's just my opinion. Just based off of his movement and his body size. That is my opinion. But another guy that I'm excited about, I think this may be the most talented guy in this LSU 2025 recruiting class, and that is Harlem Berry, the #1 running back in the country, elite speed. I mean, can run with the best of them coming out of St. Martin's Episcopal High School in Louisiana. It's very important that LSU recruits the great state of Louisiana, and you got to get the best player in the state of Louisiana, and that's Harlem Berry coming out of St. Martin's Episcopal School in Medellin, Louisiana. You got to get those guys out of that New Orleans area if you're going to be successful at LSU. I watched some of his highlights tape. I want to say when he first committed to LSU, and I had to start making comparisons. Anytime that I see an athlete, I have to compare them to someone to kind of see where I value them and how high esteem do I hold them. And Harlem Berry stood out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Harlem Berry stood out. He has breakaway speed. I mean, he kind of reminds me of a guy named Darius Geis. A lot of people don't like bringing Darius Geis's name up around LSU football because of the off the field issues. But if you remember Geis was that dude, man. Following Leonard Fournette, one of the greatest running backs we have ever seen at LSU, Darius Geis kind of took that baton and ran with it. I mean, it wasn't much drop off after Leonard Fournette left LSU because Darius Geis was running all over people. Even in the conversation for the Heisman, I remember going into his last season, he was in that conversation for the Heisman. I even seen a mural around BR that was, you know, that was painted, suggesting such, at least campaigning for such. I think Harlem Berry is that same type of talent. I would compare him to Darius Geis, the running back that we all remember a couple of years ago at LSU. That's who Harlem Berry reminds me of. Let me know what y'all think in the chat about this 2025 LSU recruiting class. You know, I would have liked to saw LSU come in maybe in the top 3 to compete for a national championship, but the #7 spot is not a bad spot. LSU got 12 players out of the top 300 ESPN rankings, so 12 players out of 300 is pretty. Out of the top 300 is pretty good. I'll take that, but you got to start win in the transfer portal if you're Brian Kelly, because this is going to be a make or break year for Brian Kelly coming into 2025. It's put up or shut up. I think this is all in. He got to put everything in because I think Brian Kelly's job is on the line. If he does not produce in this 2025 season, they're going to have a lot of LSU fans mad if LSU does not produce next year. I will be one of them. I have called for Brian Kelly's job on this platform before. I'm trying to pump my brakes a little bit, give him a little bit more time, see what he can do, see what his vision is for the program. But so far, I have to admit, I'm not very impressed what I've seen from Brian Kelly and the product that he has put on the field. That's what I will say about LSU. And, looking at this recruiting class, you automatically start asking the questions rather. Where does LSU need to improve? And I kind of already touched on it a little bit. I think one of the most glaring needs for LSU is at safety. You can almost argue that LSU hasn't had an elite safety core since the Ed Orgeron era. You go back to Sage Ryan. Sage Ryan had a pretty decent season this year. I wouldn't say great. It was probably better than what he has put on the field in previous years. But Sage Ryan was a 5-star recruit, I believe, out of Southern Lab. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Sage Ryan came out of Southern Lab. Had some pretty good hype around his name, but kind of didn't live up to that 5-star rating. And we saw what Gilbert did back there in the secondary, the transfer out of Texas A&M, Louisiana native as well. But he didn't have the best year. Was on his back a lot. Had bad run fits. Just didn't look elite, just didn't look comfortable, didn't take the ball away enough. He just didn't flash on film. So LSU's biggest need right now to me is at safety. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, DJ Pickett may be that guy. I think DJ Pickett is a safety. Even though he is the number one corner in the country, don't quote me on that. But if just off eye test, just off my football IQ, I think DJ Pickett, who was the number one corner in his class that signed with the LSU Tigers, I think he may actually be better at safety. And I think LSU may need him more at safety than corner because of some of the young guys that play well in LSU secondary. Ashton Stamps, a guy like Ashton Stamps, who has been around for a couple of years now, is getting better. PJ Woodland had his moments in this year for LSU. So I'm not so sure that corner is the biggest need for LSU right now, rather than safety. So that's kind of what I see as a big need for LSU. And at number 2, I gotta say linebacker. Greg Penn will be leaving this year. LSU's middle linebacker, kind of the quarterback of this LSU defense, will be leaving out of eligibility. He will be going into the NFL draft as a senior. Whit Weeks is emerging. Whit Weeks did have some flashes this season, but he did kind of go quiet in a couple games this year. So the thing with Whit Weeks is going to be consistency. I think he can be a superstar linebacker. I think he could be a first round linebacker if he comes back next season and only grows on what he did in the 2024 season next year. That's with Weeks. And I do hear that his brother Wes Weeks, who I have not seen play a lot, but I hear a lot of good things about Wes Weeks. Harold Perkins is still not a certain. Not sure if Harold Perkins is coming back. I haven't seen anything. If y'all see anything on Harold Perkins, let me know. But I don't know if Harold Perkins is coming back next year or not. But Harold Perkins is maybe a potential. Harold Perkins flashed at times at LSU, but has been overly inconsistent. The talent is there. It just, can Blake Baker get that talent out of Harold Perkins, and can Harold Perkins come back healthy? That's what LSU is going to have to answer next year at linebacker. Devon Keys flashed as a freshman, but needs to be more consistent. Probably needs another year in that Blake Baker defense to kind of get things underneath him so the game can slow down for him. So we got to watch out for that. But I think linebacker is a concern next year for LSU. And I got to go offensive line at 3. I think the offensive line, with losing Will Campbell, first round pick Will Campbell, uh, it's going to be a lot of things on that offensive line that needs to be worked out. Losing your leader on the offensive line in Will Campbell, I think that's a concern for the LSU Tigers, but they did address that a little bit. I seen in this year's recruiting class, but you don't want to put a freshman out there in the SEC, tell them to go play left tackle, and good luck. So LSU, those guys those guys who's been sitting there a year or two is going to have to step up. Losing a guy like Will Campbell and maybe even Emory Jones. I'm not so sure what's the draft status of Emory Jones yet. I'm not so sure if he has declared. Last I checked, he had not. But that's going to be a concern in the offensive line. I think Garrett Nussmeier will be back next year. LSU is losing Mason Taylor. So another position of concern will be that tight end position for LSU. So, guys like Pimpton and Trey Green, those are some guys that's gonna have to step up for the LSU Tigers. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. But that's kind of my biggest concerns for LSU and what needs to be improved. I think one of the strengths of this LSU team will actually be the defensive line. I just believe in Bo Davis. I believe in what I've seen from this defensive line and how they grew from last year to this year. I like the D line. I think it's a lot of talent on that D line, a lot of young talent on the D line. Not losing a whole lot, or you are going to lose Braden Swinson, but you know, it's at LSU. It's next man up. So we gonna see how LSU handles things going forward into the off season. But it's going to be interesting to see how Brian Kelly handles this offseason, and does LSU get better in the transfer portal, and also can they develop these young talented guys to see the field soon, because that was kind of a trademark for LSU before. You know, you go back to those days of Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu as a freshman, Morris Claiborne as a true freshman, Greedy Williams as a true freshman, even guys like Jamar Chase getting playing time as freshmen. Guys like that who came in at LSU and made an immediate impact. Leonard Fournette got carries as a true freshman at running back. The list goes on and on. So Brian Kelly and this LSU coaching staff is going to have to get these freshmen involved and get these freshmen coached up if they want to compete for a national championship. You see around the country right now, the schools that can develop talent and the schools with that bag is going to be winning national championships, and they're going to be in contention for winning national championships. And I'm not so sure Brian Kelly has done that or proved himself at LSU in the 3 years that he has been here. So it's going to be interesting to see what Brian Kelly do going forward, because the hot seat is under his ass right now. I mean, it's hot right now. I would not be surprised if Brian Kelly doesn't make it past the bowl game. I think that LSU is a little bit in their pockets with Brian Kelly. I think it would cost them a lot of money to be able to get rid of Brian Kelly and all the dead money that they would have to pay him. But if things go a little off the rails, if a couple of these recruits decided, I would say if the wrong players leave in the transfer portal, I think it's still a possibility that Brian Kelly could be out the door. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the wrong guy better not transfer. Like somebody like Garrett Nussmeier better not transfer, because if Garrett Nussmeier transfers, Brian Kelly is in trouble. So you can't lose the wrong guy, Brian Kelly. That's all I'm saying here on North of the Lake Sports Talk Live. If you are just joining us, I forgot at the beginning of the show to give some love to our sponsors. I have to give some love to our sponsors. That is the Insurance Depot. Y'all can find them at 985-618-3222. That's personal insurance, business insurance, health insurance, and life insurance. Make sure y'all holler at my people at the Insurance Depot. That's Mr. Kevin and Miss Reva Jackson. The number is on the screen. Tell them NOTL sent you. Please tell them we sent y'all. Go get that insurance. You need that life insurance. You definitely need health insurance. If you have a business, get that business insurance. Please call Mr. Kevin and Miss Reva Jackson. And if you need that personal insurance, whether it's for your car, whether it's for your home, whatever it may be, they can help you with it. The Insurance Depot. That's at 985-618-3222. Make sure y'all give my people a holler over there at the Insurance Depot. But I got to get into college football, as the college football playoff ranking show was earlier today. I watched it live. I'm not going to lie. Not much surprised me about the college football playoff um ranking. Everything kind of worked out as I thought it would. Not gonna lie, kind of got a disappointment there. I thought Alabama would be in the playoff, but they were snubbed. We're gonna get into that here in a minute. I won't say snubbed. I will take that back. That was the wrong word to use. I don't think Alabama was snubbed. I think Alabama got pretty much what they had deserved for the last few years. They was privileged enough to have Nick Saban campaigning for them to get in this year. So they were left out, and I think it was justified. But we'll get to that in a minute. But let me first give you North of the Lake's top five. North of the Lake's top 5. And I promise you, I did my list before the selection committee put out the official playoff rankings, but this is North of the Lakes top 5. And coming in at number 5, this may surprise some people. I got the Tennessee Volunteers coming in at number 5, and let me explain to you why I got Tennessee coming in at 5. I still think Tennessee has the best defense in the country, and I could not put them over. I couldn't put other teams in front of Tennessee, just based off strength of schedule, based off resume. I had to put Tennessee at 5 because I truly believe I would not rank a Penn State over Tennessee right now. I would not rank a SMU, a Indiana, or not even a Clemson or a Notre Dame. I do have Notre Dame right in front of Tennessee, but I'm gonna tell you why I have Notre Dame there. But I do think Tennessee plays well on defense. They have a quarterback who can extend the play, and he's an athlete, and he continues to get better. So I got Tennessee coming in at number 5 because I do believe they deserve to be there, based off strength of schedule and based off who else is in the mix with them. That's why I got Tennessee coming in at number 5. At number 4, I got the Notre Dame Irish coming in at number 4. I got Notre Dame here because they have stepped up and proved it every time they got on the field. Outside that NIU game, which is still very weird for Notre Dame to lose, just a game that they was caught slipping and they went down to a team that they shouldn't have. So I got Notre Dame at 4. They are 11-1 on the season, so you can't keep Notre Dame out of the top 5. I mean, they have played some decent teams this year. The schedule wasn't actually as bad as it usually is for Notre Dame, so I got Notre Dame coming in at number 4. But Notre Dame will have to prove themselves in the playoffs, and we're gonna get into that here in a minute. I got Texas coming in at 3. And I know what you're saying, man. Well, didn't Texas just lose to Georgia in the SEC championship? Yes, they did. But once again, this is the SEC. Close fought game between Georgia and Texas. I think Texas is still one of the top 5 teams in the country, no matter how you rank it. And I said on this platform weeks ago, once Quentin Ewers went down with that injury, that I thought that Arch Manning was the better quarterback. He's the better athlete, can't extend the play effective enough. He's not going to Mike Vick you. He's not going to Lamar Jackson you or Jaden Daniels you, but he can do just enough to kind of escape the pocket, extend the play. And I said it, but either way, Texas did go down to Georgia, so they coming in at number 3. I could not knock them out of this top 5 because I don't think Notre Dame or Tennessee is better than Texas, and I don't think anybody ranked below Texas is better than Texas. So I still got Texas at number 3. I got Georgia obviously coming in at number 2 as the SEC champion. I'm not even going to elaborate on that. I've been saying all year, I think Georgia is still the best team in the country, even though Oregon did look good. And I got Oregon coming in at number 1. Oregon did look flawless in their championship game. I watched a good portion of that game, and Oregon got some guys that can catch the football. Oregon has a offensive system to where they get their guys in space, and it is dangerous. It kind of reminds me of that Joe Brady LSU 2019 offense that Oregon runs, get their athletes in space, get them the ball. Then not a whole lot of time. The quarterback holds the ball. So Oregon has keys to success. So watch out for Oregon. I think it's going to be Oregon and Georgia standing at the end. I would have to check the bracket and see if that is a possibility. But I just think Oregon and Georgia is on a whole nother level versus everybody else. I think Oregon, Georgia, and Texas is in a league of their own, and that's pretty much the schools with all the money. So that's my top 5 for North of the Lake, top 5 for the week. Let me know what y'all think in the chat right now. If you are watching live on Facebook, YouTube, or on Instagram, please let me know what y'all think in the chat. That's North of the Lake's top 5. I'll give you another look at it. Tennessee at 5, Notre Dame at 4, Texas at 3, Georgia at 2, Oregon at 1. That's North of the Lake's top 5. Let me know what y'all think in the chat, please. If you are watching live, that is North of the Lake's top 5 ranking. I'll go ahead and ask the question now. Who's the best team in the country? I've been saying Georgia all year, but I have to give it to Oregon. I thought Oregon had a more impressive win against who did Oregon play? It slips my mind here as I sit here and think about it. But Oregon did have the more impressive win in my book against Penn State. I'm sorry, against Penn State. And Penn State was a much better football team than I gave them credit for. A much better football team. So Oregon, I thought handled that game decisively, even though the score it was a little closer than if you look at the score. But I thought Oregon pretty much had full control of that game. Um, the whole time. I mean, Oregon looks good. So I would say Oregon and Georgia. It will be a great game to see Oregon and Georgia. It come down to that, depending on how the bracket plays out. But I will say Penn State did surprise me. Penn State was better than I thought they was. That tight end that Penn State got, is he really that good? I can't call his name right now, but I gotta watch more film of him because he looked like a baby Gronk or something, or I don't know. He looked good. I mean, he looked damn good, like Travis Kelce out there or something. I don't know, but that tight end from Penn State looks pretty good to me. 44. I mean, I think that was his number. I know it was in the 40s. So it was a good week of football though. And we got to talk about the college football um conference games. Had some awesome games on, man. Boise State took care of business against UNLV 21-7. I seen Ashon Genty run all over that UNLV defense. A lot of people is saying, should he get the Heisman? Should should Travis Hunter get the Heisman? I think it's up in the air. We may talk about that on next week's program. Excuse me, allergies are messing up a little bit, y'all. A lot of people are getting that cold that's going around. But Tulane, I think a big surprise over the weekend for me was Tulane going down to Army. I thought Tulane was a much better team than what they put out there on the field the last couple of weeks. Tulane did go down to Army 35-14. Shout out to the Tulane Green Wave. Shout out to our boy Jaheim Johnson out of Hammond High School out there at Tulane, but they did go down to Army. Oregon did beat Penn State, as I mentioned earlier, 45-37. Flawless victory. Oregon 13-0 on the season. Penn State better than I thought. A lot better than I thought. So shout out to Oregon maintaining that number one spot. Georgia gets the win over Texas 22-19. Texas just let Georgia hang around. And there you go. Georgia at the end pulls off the win 22-19. I've been saying all year that Georgia is the number one, I think the best team in the country. Maybe not the number one team, but maybe the best and most well-coached, well-put-together team in the country. Quentin Ewers actually didn't have a bad game. I kind of talk a little smack about him. He was 27-46, 358 and a touchdown. Not bad, but I thought he struggled at times just watching that game. Clemson barely escapes SMU 34-31. I seen bits and pieces of that game. Clemson had a comfortable lead, but then they kind of took their foot off the gas and let Clemson come back. So I'm sorry, let SMU come back, but Clemson did hang on 34-31. Arizona State is playing some football. They was left. Actually, they did make the college football playoff. I'm sorry, they was one of the qualifiers, but Arizona State did get the win, 45-19 over Iowa State. They advanced to the college football playoff as well. And shout out to Southern as well, as they did go down to Jackson State in the SWAC championship game. So shout out to the Southern Jaguars as well. If you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, please leave a comment and we can get to them as you guys comment. But we got to get into the college football playoff ranking for the first time. You see who's going to make the playoffs. And we got to talk about this right here as we get to the college football playoff going forward. And for some reason, we not. Oh, there we go. So we got the college football playoff bracket, and we got to get right to it, y'all. We got Oregon coming in at number one. They get a bye. coming in as the number 1 seed. Then you got the Georgia Bulldogs, winner of the SEC, coming in at number 2. You got Boise State winning. I forget what conference Boise State is in, but they coming in number 3, and they have that bye as well. And you got Arizona State coming in, who has been impressive. I got to give Arizona State their flowers. Have been impressive. Won that Big 12 conference over there. Shout out to Arizona State and all those transfers they had this season. And those transfers got them a first round bye. Take notes, Brian Kelly. Take notes, LSU. Arizona State is in a college football playoff over you right now. No shade to Arizona State, but it is what it is. All right. All right. Coming in at number 5 is the Texas Longhorns. The Texas Longhorns will face the Clemson Tigers in the first round. Now, that's going to be a pretty good game right there. I'm looking forward to that Clemson-Texas game. I think both of those teams are a pretty even match. I think Clemson may give Texas some problems in that game coming in at the 12 spot. So it's going to be interesting to see if Arizona State can hang in with either one of those teams, Clemson and Texas. So that's going to be a big challenge for Arizona State, the winner of that Texas and Clemson game. That's going to be interesting to see going into that quarterfinals game. Then we got the next matchup, number 8 versus number 9, Tennessee. Ohio State versus Tennessee will take on Oregon. The winner of that Tennessee-Ohio State game will take on Oregon. And, I mean, some great matchups, right? Ohio State and Tennessee. I think Tennessee's defense may be a little bit too much for the Buckeyes coming in at number 8. Ohio State will have their home playoff game, though. That's going to be interesting to see in Columbus. I think that's good for college football, man. Hey, man, I've been advocating for years to bring the games back to the college campuses, whether it's the opening games, week 1 of the season. They always want to play it in Las Vegas or some neutral site game. Bring the games back to the college campuses and get that electricity. But I like Tennessee's matchup in that, and it's going to be interesting to see which one of these teams take on Oregon. I think Tennessee may be better matched on defense to deal with Oregon, but we're gonna see how that plays out. And one of the more controversial teams that made it into the playoffs is SMU at number 11. SMU will take on Penn State. Penn State better win this game. James Franklin better win this game. His job may be on the line if he don't at least make it into the quarterfinals to take on Boise State. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Penn State has a damn good shot to make it to the national championship game. As you look at this bracket that they are put in, I mean, look at Penn State. I mean, if Penn State wins against SMU, they take on Boise State, and I think most people will say that Penn State will be a big favorite going into that Boise State game. And then let's see who comes out of that. I mean, then you only got Georgia, Notre Dame, and Indiana to go through. I think Penn State can beat either one of these teams on their best day. So it's going to be interesting to see how Penn State comes out of that side of that bracket. All they have in their way is Boise State. I think Indiana will be knocked out of thing. I think Notre Dame will take care of Indiana, as you see at the bottom of the screen. Indiana is at 10. Notre Dame comes in at number 7. It's a little weird how they set this up, to be honest with you. It's a little weird how they rank this, but Indiana will be taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame should win that game. And you will see them take on Georgia. And I think Georgia will beat Notre Dame. So I think Penn State and Georgia will be looking to play each other for a spot in a national championship game. So that's going to be something to watch. I think Georgia will beat Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame has enough to hang in there with Georgia. So that's going to be interesting to see. But this is the college football playoff ranking reveal. So let me know what y'all think in the chat. Even if you are not watching live, let me know what y'all think in the chat about this college football ranking. I could put the comment on the screen. But I'm looking forward to that Clemson and Texas game. That's going to be an interesting game to watch. And also Tennessee, Ohio State. That's a good matchup. And that bracket at the top is brutal. I mean, whoever makes it out of that bracket at the top is really going to be the national champion. I truly believe that whoever makes it out of the top will be the national championship because they have the hardest road. So the best team will definitely win this national championship because that top bracket is scary. And Penn State is set up to make a national championship run. If they can somehow get by Georgia, and I think it's possible. I watched Penn State, and I think Penn State is a lot better team than what I have given them credit for on this platform. You know, I've been saying the same old Penn State that can't make it past Michigan and Ohio State. It's time for Penn State to prove themselves, and they can prove themselves because they are set up pretty good. They better be SMU for the sake of James Franklin's job. I think Penn State got to come out of this at least and get past Boise State and get into the semifinals. That should be the floor for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Let me know what y'all think in the chat as we discuss the college football playoff rankings. Let me know what y'all think. Would you change anything? Would you what you think about Alabama being left out? What do y'all think about Alabama being left out the college football playoff? Also, Miami. The first two teams out was Alabama and Miami, and this what I would say about that. Um, Now, do I think Alabama is a better team than SMU? Yes. Do I think Alabama is a better team than Boise State? Absolutely. Do I think Alabama is a better team than Indiana? You bet. But I think Alabama has got enough passes. Nobody feels sorry for Alabama, okay? Nobody feels sorry for a school that has won all those championships. It was your time. I think I said on my platform last year, I don't think Alabama should have got into the playoff last year. I think had Georgia got into the college football playoff last year, I don't think Michigan beats Georgia. I don't think Michigan would have a national championship right now had the selection committee put in Georgia over Alabama. I thought that last year that Georgia was a better team than Alabama, even though Alabama somehow beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. I thought Georgia should have got that chance last year over Alabama, and Georgia probably would have won another national championship last year had they been given that spot over Alabama. So I think this is karma for Alabama, and I do think it's time for a new era of football, and I see some different teams get into the mix of this thing. But I will say, I think South Carolina. A lot of people's not talking about South Carolina. I think South Carolina was snubbed in this. And Miami. Let's talk about Miami. So, I wanted to see Miami in the college football playoff because I feel like Miami had the best player in college football this year in Cam Ward. Had Miami not dropped another game late in the season, Cam Ward probably would be the favorite for the Heisman right now. But because they did go down and get that third loss, I think that's why Cam Ward is not being talked about as a Heisman candidate right now because he was my favorite up until that last loss that the Miami Hurricanes had. So I think Cam Ward and the Miami Hurricanes was snubbed a little bit because I wanted to see it. I think they are better than Indiana. I think they are better than SMU and Boise State, who has a first round bye. So they need to. I saw Nick Saban say on College Game Day. I'm sorry, not College Game Day, but on the selection show, I heard Nick Saban say something to the effect of you know, they need to start going by strength of schedule. That needs to be taken into consideration, with teams like SMU when you put SMU over Alabama. But I was very impressed how Nick Saban broke things down. He did say, but all these teams control their own destiny. So you can't be mad at a selection committee when you had the chance to prove it on the field. So Nick Saban wasn't all the way biased when he did break it down on the selection show today on ESPN. So shout out to Nick Saban for being kind of impartial on things, but he did kind of push back a little bit, over Alabama not getting in over SMU. When you talk about the SEC, when you talk about strength of schedule, when you talk about what have you done for me, who have you played, the case can be made for Miami and Alabama to have gotten in. Also, South Carolina. I think South Carolina is another team that could make a case for getting into that college football playoff, but you see they didn't. So hopefully those teams come back hungry next year. And notice I haven't talked about the LSU Tigers one time in this conversation because guess what? LSU isn't even ranked right now. That's a fact. Shout out to Brian Kelly for that. No shade. I'm just saying. But this is the college football playoff ranking. Like I said, I'm looking forward to these matchups. You got Clemson and Texas taking on each other. Tennessee, Ohio State, Penn State look like they control their own destiny. And Georgia is sitting there as well with a bye, and they will play the winner of Indiana and Notre Dame. That's gonna be, I don't know. Notre Dame can give Georgia a run for their money too. So I don't want to sit and act like Notre Dame can't play football, but they gotta prove it. They gotta prove it playing in their independence conference that they play in by themselves, just in solitary confinement, and they get to pick whoever they want to go play. So I don't know. We'll see how Notre Dame fare in the playoffs. They usually don't do too good, but they got rid of Brian Kelly. So I don't know. Brian Kelly said that he left Notre Dame because he didn't think he could win a championship there. Well, I be damned. Notre Dame is sitting right here at number 7 in the country, getting ready to play in the college football playoff, and LSU is at home, and Notre Dame looks like they will be favored to beat Indiana. So there you go, Brian Kelly. There you go. Life comes at you quick, doesn't it? You leave Notre Dame, come to LSU, and LSU's at home, and LSU getting ready to play. And I seen what bowl LSU's playing in. It's the Texas Bowl. So congratulations, Brian Kelly, for leaving Notre Dame, and now you're going to the Texas Bowl at LSU. But that is the college football ranking right there. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. But let's move on and get you out of here. We got to talk about those New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints narrowly escaped against the New York Giants. I'm not going to lie to y'all. This was the most boring game I ever seen in my life. I almost went to sleep 3 times, and I was driving while I was watching this game. And it was just boring. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was even interested in this game. I'm not gonna act like that. But it was really unwatched. It was very hard to watch. Terrible quarterback play in this game. You would have thought that Derek Carr had a nice distance in far as talent, I guess, experience versus a guy like Drew Lock, but that wasn't the case. Okay, both quarterbacks looked very pedestrian on the day. I mean, just didn't look impressive at all. I don't know what to tell you here. Derek Carr was 20 or 31, 219 yards, a touchdown, and a very bad interception. QBR 59. I don't know. I'm just not impressed. And then he did that thing where he just dived, and it was just weird. You just knew soon as Derek Carr left his feet, that was going to be an injury. Like you could see it coming before he even hit the ground. Soon as Derek Carr went airborne, I knew he was probably out for the season. Now, I don't have a word on the injury yet. I'm just saying, just soon as he left his feet, I knew he would not be coming back to this game. But Jake Hayner did come in and didn't throw not one pass. But the Saints were able to get the win 14-11 over the New York Giants. Like I said, this was a very boring game, very poor quarterback play. Actually, Drew Lock had a better day than Derek Carr when you come down to the stats. Drew Lock was 21 of 49, 227 yards, did have that interception at the end. But I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you about this game. The Saints rushed for 92 yards. The running game wasn't really there. The receivers dropped balls today. Marquez Valdez Scantling led all receivers with 51 yards. Derek Carr, I don't know. I don't know what to say. What y'all want me to say? The defense did play stout. Uh, Allowed under 300 yards total offense. Saints defense continue to be the strength of this team. One of the highlights, like I mentioned, Derek Carr did go down with an injury. Just a ridiculous decision to go up and over a guy and still didn't get the first down. That was the killing part. Try to dive for the first down, still didn't get the first down. Now you're getting pretty much assisted off the field to the sideline. So I don't know what's wrong with Derek Carr. I do not know, but we will keep you updated on that. But this team, man, just sitting there watching this game today, I realized that the Saints need a complete reset. New coach, new players. I would just cut everybody. I would cut all veteran players right now if I was the New Orleans Saints and just tank it out. Tank that thing out. Tank it out. We need a top pick. The Saints need a quarterback. The Saints need receivers. The Saints need more help on the offensive line, defensive line. Cam Jordan is aging. I don't know. The receivers, I couldn't call not one receiver name on the Saints team today. I don't know. Outside of Valdez Scantling, I don't know who the rest of these guys are that's catching passes from Derek Carr. I don't know. The Saints are just, even in this win, I still feel like it's a loss. I mean, I don't know, but the Saints absolutely needed to lose this game, and their draft position just keeps going down, 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 down. They may be at number 10 or 12 or something by now. I haven't checked, but you're not gonna get an elite quarterback at the 10th position. You might look up. I don't know. We'll see what the Saints do. Probably won't even draft the quarterback. Even if the Saints had a top 5 pick, they probably would do something stupid like draft a defensive end a la Hofstra or a defensive end out of I don't know, a college that you got to go Google search. So the Saints gonna be the Saints, but looks like the Saints keeps putting the draft pick in jeopardy with winning. But like I said, the Giants the Giants are a terrible team. So I don't know what to tell you about the New Orleans Saints. My biggest takeaway is the Saints are not talented. Um, I don't know. The Saints are old. Alvin Kamara still looks pretty good, but it's still an aging running back nonetheless. Still looks good. Derek Carr is not an elite quarterback. No elite receivers. Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave continue to be out. Kendre Miller had some moments in this game, but nothing too impressive from Kendre Miller. The running game was pretty much non-existent for the New Orleans Saints today. So and I think Dan Rizzi, I think he's doing a good job. 3-1 after Dennis Allen was fired on the season. But it's gonna be interesting to see going forward for the New Orleans Saints and what adjustments they make going into the offseason as the season comes to an end. A few more games here to go for the New Orleans Saints. I'm gonna try to catch me a game before the season is over. I'm looking at that Raiders game. So I don't know. We'll see what the Saints do. I don't want to talk about the Saints too much here because the Saints pretty much won this game based off of a missed field goal by the Giants. So, you know, this is a win that you should have lost. So, but nonetheless, it's still a win. But let's look forward to next week. The Saints take on the Commanders. Jaden Daniels. Saints fans get to see Jaden Daniels against the Saints. We all welcome Jaden Daniels. Let me see where this game is being played at. I don't want to tell you it's in the dome. I always want to say that the game is in the dome. Let me see where the Saints play next week in the Commanders. Is Jaden Daniels returning home? So yeah, Jaden Daniels will be back in Louisiana in the New Orleans Superdome. So that's going to be something to look forward to. I absolutely think the Saints are going to lose this game because of that man, that kid, Jaden Daniels. So I'm going to be rooting for Jaden Daniels in the Superdome against the Saints so the Saints can get a better draft pick. But also rooting for our guy, Jaden Daniels, LSU alum, gave us some very good moments in LSU history, won the Heisman. So that's what my focus will be for this game. But I don't think the Saints have a snowball chance in hell of winning this game because Jaden Daniels is going to be Jaden Daniels and Derek Carr is going to be Derek Carr. And this Washington defense is pretty good, and I think they would probably win this game by a touchdown or more. I would go higher than that because the Saints have literally no offense right now, no running game, and that's going to be a recipe for disaster against a quarterback like Jaden Daniels who doesn't turn the ball over, who can't extend the play. But let me know what y'all think in the chat. That's all I got for y'all. That's all I got for y'all this week. North of the Lake Sports Talk live from the road, coming live from Missouri, the Show Me State. I hope y'all have a good rest of your week. Hopefully, I will see you guys back in studio soon. Thank y'all for watching North of the Lake Sports Talk Live. This is season 2, episode 15. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Make sure y'all add me on YouTube. That's at NOTL Mun on YouTube. All the information at the bottom of the screen at NOTL Podcast on Instagram. Shout out to everybody watching on Instagram. This was another week with your boy Mervin Sean. North of the Lake, we signing out. Thank y'all for another week and your support.